getting beat up and then having to see that guy every day. Oh, that to me would be the worst. To get beat up or violated in prison, and then you got to see that person every day. Like, see the person that violated you or beat your ass. You can't just disappear. You can't move. It's almost like when you're growing up and you go to school and you see two guys get in a fight, and then I remember I was in 8th grade and there was a kid. He was a bully, and the bad part about this kid, he was a bully and he got held back. And it's the first time in my life I'd seen a bully lose his mystique of being a badass, because I'll never forget, I got off the bus. I was in 8th grade. So this guy, when I got to my junior high in 7th grade, he was in 8th. And then I got to 8th, he was still in 8th. So he got held back. So he was fighting this guy named Tony. It was John and Tony. I'm not going to give last names out. But John was the bully, and Tony was a good athlete at our school. Didn't get in a lot of fights. Tony was a cool dude. And for some reason, before the bell rang, John and Tony was in the hallway right when you walk into our school, face to face, just talking back and forth. Do something. You do something. I ain't scared of you. I ain't scared of you. Going back and forth, back and forth. And then we had this kid named Teddy. Teddy gets off the bus after John and Tony have been going face up for about 10 minutes. And it's getting close to the bell getting rung to start school starting. And I'm talking, at this point, there had to be 80 people surrounding them. It was like out of one of the movies. And all of a sudden, Teddy gets off the bus. He walks in. He gets next to John and Tony, and he says something funny. And Teddy was kind of a jokester, and everybody started laughing. And John, the bully, said something to Teddy like, "Hey, man, you might as well back up or something, right?" And I'll never forget, he put his hand on Teddy's chest and tried to push him back a little bit. And Teddy went, "Bip!" Hit him right here. And John, back then, all the guys had the hair that was parted down the middle and feathered back. And I remember John had that long hair, and his entire hair just went, and then it was in front of his face. So now John had to do his head back like this, and Teddy got in his face with his fist. I just remember his fist was clenched and was saying something like, "Man, don't you ever motherfucker touch me, bitch," and was going in, and John just sat there. Teddy walked away, and all 80 students followed Teddy. It was like the Pied Piper. We couldn't believe that he hit John. And John was a little bigger than everybody else, too, because he was a year older. And I just remember, Tony was upset because he's like, "I should have did that. I could have hit him with the one-hitter quitter and taken the mystique." When I tell you, John was no longer a bully, his bullying days was over. He never bullied anybody again the rest of his life. And I, honest to God, I'll never forget. And when I got to 7th grade, John was in my math class. Why was he in 8th and I was in 7th? He was in my math class. I don't know. But I just remember I just wasn't scared of him anymore. He was kind of intimidating. And I was like a late bloomer. So I was, hadn't hit puberty yet. There was no hair popping off on the arms of the ball sack. So I was just like, I was a little kid and I was scared of him. The second Teddy hit that dude and he lost all his mystique of being a bully, I was no longer scared of John.